So the Garmin watch gives you some different preloaded watch faces that you can choose to display when wearing the watch. And it's really very easy to switch the display if you want to. All we're going to do is with the watch facing us, there's 3 buttons on the left hand side, there's 2 buttons on the right hand side. This middle button on the left hand side is your menu button. If you want to change your watch face, just press the menu button. The first option that should come up by default is watch face. If for some reason it doesn't, you can use the ABC button or the menu button to move up and down. But once you're on watch face, you're going to press GPS to select it. And now you're going to notice there's a little scroll bar over here on the left hand side. That's showing me that I can scroll through the different watch faces to choose a different one. So once I've got the watch face that I want, press GPS and press apply. That's just quick basic. How do I change the watch face? I've got it on this watch face. I want a different watch face. That's it. Now, within that, you can also customize what data fields are being displayed on your watch face. So for example, I've got this watch face. I like it, but it's kind of bothering me that I've got the seconds showing right here. I want to change that. You're going to basically do it the same way we just did. You're going to press and hold the menu button. You're going to select watch face by clicking the GPS button. This time, instead of scrolling, we're going to press GPS again, and we get the option to customize. Press GPS, and now you're going to see that a data field is blinking. In my case, it's the second field up here. You can press the up or down button to choose a different data field to display. So whereas before it was showing seconds, I can go through and say, oh, you know what, I want to see the current temperature. Once I've got the field that I want, the data field, I press GPS, and now you'll see that the next data field starts blinking. So it's currently showing the day of the week and the day of the month. I can change that, or I can leave it the same by pressing GPS. All it's going to do is continue to do this until you cycle through all the data fields on the given watch face. So it's got a sunset time. I'm going to just I'll choose stairs climbed. I like the battery indicator. I've gone through all the data fields. Now I've got a check mark. Basically means I'm done with customizing that watch face. Now I'm back on my original watch face, but the thing that's changed is I no longer am showing the seconds. I'm showing the temperature instead. So that's how you edit the watch face. What's cool with it is if you change watch faces, so now I've got this one customized the way I want to, but let's say I just want to change it. I can press menu, choose watch face, can change it. Now I'm displaying this watch face. The customizations on your watch faces will always be remembered. So you don't always have to customize the data fields every time you change the watch face. So what I mean is if I go back to the one that I originally had a minute ago that we just changed, you'll notice that everything's the same. It still remembers that I like temperature here instead of seconds. So anyway, that's just a quick walkthrough of how to change your watch face as well as the data fields within your watch face. And I recommend you go through all of the different ones. You'll find it's kind of beneficial for me at least. There's certain watch faces that I use when I'm at the office. There's certain watch faces that I use when I'm hunting, certain ones I use when I'm exercising. And that's kind of the point of them. It's not only from an appearance standpoint, they kind of serve different functionalities depending on what you're currently doing with the watch. If you're looking at the watch, you've got 3 buttons over here on the left-hand side. You've got 2 buttons on the right-hand side. If you press and hold the top left button, which is your control button, it'll take you into what's called your control menu. Once you're in your control menu, you've got your menu button, you've got your ABC button. Menu is for up, ABC is for down. And you can easily just click on whichever button you want and go through the different controls that you have set up in your control options. By default, you've got things in there like Find My Phone, music, time zones, sunrise and sunset. Any control that you're on, if you want to adjust it or see settings under it, you're just going to press the top right button, which is the GPS button. So for example, if you want to see the sunrise and sunset, it's showing me that for today the sunset is at 8:20. Well, if I press the GPS button, it'll give me some more details of that control feature. To get out of it, you're going to press the bottom right set button, which is also your back button. But there's some pretty neat things in here. For example, if you're jogging and you don't want to reach in your pocket or on your waist and grab your phone, you can press the music controls button and it should read your phone, and then you can actually play music from your watch on your phone. You can also use the up or down button within here to adjust to the next song or go back to the previous song. Let's see. Notice how I hit play, it automatically starts playing from my phone. You want to pause it, you can press pause, and then again you can go back. Another cool feature that I mentioned is to find my phone. So let's say you're walking out of the house and you're trying to grab all your stuff, you can't find your phone. You can actually go into your controls menu, press find my phone, go navigate to find my phone, press the GPS button, and it'll start ringing your phone, and then you can just walk to wherever in the house your phone's chirping from. So that's another pretty cool feature. Anyway, that's a quick look at your control menu. Now let's say you have some features in here that you're not looking to use. Maybe lock keys. Maybe you're not ever looking to lock your phone's keys, and you're like, I don't really need that feature in my controls menu. You can actually adjust what items are in your controls menu. So all we're going to do is we're going to press back to get back to the main screen. If you want to adjust the features in your controls menu, you're going to press and hold the menu button. That'll take you into your settings. And now we're just going to navigate to settings. And we're going to navigate to controls. And once you're in here, it's basically showing you everything that we just saw in the controls menu. Sunrise, sunset, alternate time zones, music controls. So if we want to take off the unlock keys, you just navigate to whichever one you want to take off, press the GPS button, arrow down to remove, and then press GPS again to select it. And now it's no longer in my controls menu. And we can check that by going all the way back, again pressing and holding control to get to our control menu. And now you'll see that the lock keys feature is not in there. On a side note, we'll go back into the menu, go to settings, go to controls, and if there's something else that you want in your controls menu, you can go all the way to the bottom and you'll see an option to add new. If you select that, it'll show you all the different things you can add into your controls menu, and you just select whatever it is that you're wanting to add. So I'm going to put the flashlight in there just for kick's sake. Control added. We can press the back button to go all the way back. And now when I go into my control menu, we should see the flashlight. And there it is. This one's just a basic video to show you how to start and stop an activity. So the first thing you're going to do is we're in our main timekeeping screen. You're going to press the upper right hand button, which is your GPS button. Now you don't want to press and hold it because that will actually activate your GPS so you can save the location. You're just going to simply press it. What that's going to do is that's going to take you to your activities and apps listing. You can use the up or down button on the left hand side and you can cycle through whatever activity it is that you're looking to do. In my example, let's just say we're going to go do a walk activity. I'm on the walk activity. You can see the icon for the given activity. When I'm ready to start it or select it, I'm going to press GPS. That selects the activity. And then you're going to have some different things pull up. Now, in this case, I don't have GPS turned on for this activity. I've got heart rate turned on. I've got my phone connected. If you did have GPS, you'd want to wait until your GPS connects. That can usually take a couple of seconds. But in my case, everything's ready to go. I'm ready to begin my walk. All I'm going to do is press GPS, and that's going to start the activity for me. Now at this point, I can stay in my activity page, or I can press the back button and go back to my main timekeeping page, and my activity will still be running in the background. I can always just press GPS, and that'll take me back into the activity. So you can see time's progressing. I'm out walking. We're doing our activity. Once you get to the point where you're done with your activity, all you're going to do is, again, press the GPS button. You'll see that now there's a stop icon, and then we're going to get some different options. You can resume the activity, you can save the activity, you can resume it later, you can lap it, or you can discard the activity. I'm going to press GPS to select the value I want. In my example, I'm going to discard it. It says, do you really want to discard this activity? I'm going to arrow down and say yes. And we've successfully ended our activity. We're still on the activity page. At this point, I can do another walk, or I can simply press the back button to get back to my activity page, and press it back again, and I'm back at my main timekeeping page. So we've started and we've stopped an activity. So let's just start with the basics. Let's say you've got your Garmin Instinct and you want to go do an activity. The quick way to do that is you're going to press the GPS button, which is the top right button on the watch. That's going to take you to your activity list, and you can go down and you can do whatever activity that you're doing. I've done some videos on how to add and remove activities from this list, but let's just say I'm going for a walk. I select that, and then when this comes up, if you're ready to just go walking, you just press GPS, and now you've started your walk. You'll notice that currently I'm showing two what's called data screens, data fields. I'm showing the current temperature and I'm showing the distance. You'll notice my distance isn't moving because I'm sitting here. I'm not actually moving. But those are what's called data fields. And those are great, but you might, somebody might want to see more than what's showing here, or they might want to see different values than what's shown here. You might not care what the current temperature is, you might not care what the distance is, or maybe you do care about those, but you'd like to also see something else, like maybe your heart rate. You can actually change the data fields that are showing here per activity, or you can change how many data fields are being shown on your screen. And that's what I'm going to show you here. So I'm going to stop this activity. I just wanted to show you kind of what data fields were first. I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to discard it. And then we'll just go back to the beginning. So I'm back on my home screen. I want to go for a walk, but I want to change the fields that are displayed when I go for a walk. I'm going to press GPS to take me to the activities, and I'm going to choose walk. But before I start the activity, you'll notice that right here there's a little settings thing. Shows you some different things. It's basically showing me that I'm connected to my phone, my current battery life, and then there's an options. So if you press the menu button, which is up, that'll take you into your options for this activity. I can set a target, or I can arrow down here to walk settings. I'm going to press GPS to select walk settings, and you'll notice the first option is data screens. I'm going to press GPS again to go into data screens. So now I'm in the actual settings for my data screens. As we saw before when I did my activity, I'm showing the current temperature and I'm showing distance. Now I could hit the down button and I could add a second data screen. But in this case, I don't like having multiple data screens. I just want to adjust these data fields that are here. To do that, we're going to press the GPS button, and now we can customize the layout of that screen. Currently, we're showing two fields. Field 1, you'll notice that it's highlighted, it's shaded here, showing you which field that is. It's the temperature. If I arrow down to field 2, you'll notice the bigger box is shaded. That's my distance. So that's fine, but we said we wanted to get another field on there. We wanted to do heart rate. So we're going to go to layout, press GPS to select it, and now you can change the layout of the screen. So this is what it currently looks like. I press the down button. Now all of a sudden I've got 3 data fields. Press it again. Now I've got 4 data fields. Press it again. I've got 4 data fields, but they're in a different layout. Press it again. I've got 5 data fields, and so on. That's really it. And now we're back to the 2 data fields. So in my case, I had said all I wanted to do was keep everything the same, but I wanted to add heart rate. This looks pretty good. I've got the same thing as what I had before, but I've got an extra field up here that's distance. Once you've got the layout that you like, you're going to press GPS to select it. Now I've got a 3-field layout, and then I can go down and adjust the field that I want to. So we've got temperature as field 1, we've got distance as field 2, and we've got speed as field 3. Well, I don't like speed. I'm going to put a heart rate there instead. So I'm going to press GPS while I'm on that field. And then I'm just going to arrow down to the field that I'm looking for. So I'm going to check out the heart rate fields. And the first one is heart rate. I could do average heart rate. I could do heart rate zones, but we're just going to do heart rate. Now I've adjusted my data fields. Field 1's temperature, field 2 is distance, field 3 is heart rate. Once I've got it the way I want, I can just press the set button, which is your back button, go all the way back, and I can just start my exercise. Now, you'll notice that as before, we just had two fields, distance and temperature. Now we've got temperature, distance, and heart rate. The nice thing about this is it will remember this for the next time I do this activity. So I'm going to stop this activity and I'm going to discard it. But you don't have to set this every time. Whatever your activity was set as, the next time you do that activity, it's going to remember that data field layout and your data screen. So if I go in here, choose walk, it knows exactly how it was the last time I did it. The other thing that's kind of cool is those data fields are unique to the activity. So if I go down here and I'm going to do a climb instead of a walk, you'll notice that my data fields are totally different. Hike's the same way. So you can adjust your data fields depending on what activity it is you're doing. But that's all it is. All it is it's just a visual representation of the data fields that you're interested in seeing while you're doing an activity. I'm just assuming you just got your Garmin Instinct and you want to know some of the basics. Hey, how do I save the location for where I am? All you're going to do is you're going to press and hold the right upper button, the GPS button, when you're at a location that you want to save. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to acquire a connection to the GPS satellites. This can take a couple of seconds depending on where you are. Obviously right now I'm indoors, so it's going to take a little bit longer than outside. You'll get this message saying that your signal strength will be better if you're away from tall buildings or trees. But after a couple of seconds, you'll get this screen that basically shows you the latitude, longitude, and altitude of your current location. Once you've got that, all you do is you press the GPS button again if you want to save it. You'll notice in my case, I've saved my location. The default that it saves it as is the day, month, and time that you saved your location. You'll also notice that there's a down arrow that says edit. If you want to edit the location, you can press the down button, which is also the ABC button, and you can get into the edit location settings. Now I'll say this, I did a video in the past, maybe I can hyperlink it to this one. I personally never edit any of my locations on my watch. To me, it's a big pain to do. There is an app that Garmin puts out called Garmin Explore that is a free app. You can download it on your phone. It'll sync automatically to your watch and you can edit your locations on there a whole lot easier than editing them on your watch. So I'll link that to this. But if you did want to edit it on your watch, you can click on the name. You can change your name basically by using the scroll wheel to erase current characters. First thing I would need to do is find the backspace and start clearing out some of this stuff and then replace it with whatever other thing I want. Once you're done, you'll just press the back button. You can save your changes. I can change the icon. By default, your icon is going to be a flag. You can change it to anything you want to by category. So you'll notice there's an outdoor category, civil category, transportation category. I'm just going to choose an outdoor one. Let's just do bike trail. So now I've changed my icon to a bike trail. I can actually edit the position of it. So if I want to change the latitude and longitude, I can do that. I can edit the elevation. You really wouldn't need to do this. You just used a GPS to determine the elevation and the latitude and longitude. So why you would want to change it, I don't know, but you can do that. And then you can also delete the save location. Once you're done, you can just press the back button and you've successfully saved the location that you're at. So first and foremost, to navigate to your save locations, you're going to press the GPS button. It's the upper button in the right-hand corner if the watch is facing you. And then you're going to use the up or down buttons to cycle through until you see navigate. Now, if you don't have it here, you might need to go down and add it to your screen, but by default, you should have navigate as one of your options. We're going to press GPS to select navigate. And then you're going to arrow down to save locations. Now in this video, I'm just dealing with save locations. As you notice, there's lots of other things you can navigate to in here. You can navigate to courses, activities, but your save locations is the one that we're dealing with here. I'm gonna press GPS to select save locations. In my case, I've got 2 save locations. You might see more depending on how many you've got. You'll also know that there's just some little dots here. Church in Statue of Liberty. Once the GPS has time to connect and calculate the distance, we should see the values for those saved locations updated. So I'll give it a second here and I'll let that update just so you can see it. All we're going to do is we're going to choose the saved location that we want to navigate to here in a second. You can see the distance is just populated. Church is 2.5 miles to the northeast, and the Statue of Liberty is 1,428.4 miles to the northeast. So in this video, we're just going to navigate to church. I'm going to get on the value I want, press GPS to select it, and then I'm going to press GPS again for go to. This is going to take me into the navigation screen. My GPS is connected. I've got the option to change my options for navigation. I'm just going to press GPS to start navigating, and we've begun the navigation process. So you'll notice it's telling me to go this direction, and you can see my start point here, and then you can see the direction to get to the end point. Now, I've done some videos in the past where I walk you through how you can pan the map and you can change the way the direction arrow is pointing. I'm not going to get into that here. We've successfully begun navigating to our saved location. The one thing I'll mention is I can press the back button and get back to my home screen, but that doesn't end my navigation. If I press GPS again, I go back to the navigation screen. The reason I say that is when you're done navigating, you want to press GPS to stop it and then either save the activity or discard it, because if not, it's going to be navigating in the background, and especially if you're using GPS, it's going to be eating up some battery life. So in this case, I'm done navigating. I'm going to just go down to discard. It asked me if I really want to do that. Now we've successfully ended the navigation to our saved location, and we can get back to our home screen, and our GPS is cut off in the background. So first, let me say, by default, when you save a location or you do an activity that has any kind of saved laps, waypoints, anything like that, you should see it on your Garmin Instinct map. But in the event you wanted to turn that off, the Garmin Instinct allows you to do that. Now I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Let's press and hold the menu button. Let's go to history. I'm going to press GPS to select history. I'm just going to choose one of my activities. I did a fishing activity today. Let's go look at the map of it. When I zoom in on the map, you're going to see a few different things. The starting point, the ending point, but you're also going to see these waypoints and markers from saved locations from that activity, which is fine, but depending on how many waypoints or save points you have, it can kind of clutter up your map. If you're somebody like me, I usually just want to see my starting and end point. All of my saved locations, I'll go look at on my cell phone using the Garmin Explorer app, or I'll go use my eTrek, something that has a bigger screen with a better map. So anyway, let's go turn those off. I'm going to show you where we would do that. Let's go back to the main watch face. You're going to press and hold the menu button. You're going to go down to settings, press GPS to select settings, and we are going to go to map, press GPS to select map. The second option in here is user locations. Show is the default, but if you choose that and put hide, they won't show on your map. So now let's go back and let's look at that same activity. I'm going to press and hold the menu button. I'm going to go to history. I'm going to go to activities. I'm going to choose that activity, and let's look at the map again. You're going to notice the map is a whole lot cleaner now. Still got my starting point, and I've still got my end point, but I don't have any of the other things that were showing on there. No more flags for the maps, no more bicycle, no more fishing icon, none of that stuff. All you're going to have is your start point and your end point, because all of the saved locations have been hidden. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how to add an activity to your watch. So when the watch gets delivered to you, it's preloaded with some activities and apps that are delivered from Garmin. But there's other ones out there that you can go and you can add to your watch. So the way you're going to do that, there's two actual ways you can add an activity. The first one I'm going to show you is going through your menu button. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to press and hold the menu button. Sorry, I guess I should have said on the left-hand side you've got 3 buttons. Let me go back. On the left-hand side you've got 3 buttons. On the right-hand side you've got 2 buttons. The menu button is going to be your middle button here on the left-hand side. You're going to press and hold it. You're going to navigate down, so your menu button also functions as an up button. Your ABC button functions as a down button. And you can use those to just move up and down within your settings. We're going to navigate down to settings, and then we're going to press the GPS button, which always functions as kind of a select button. Under settings, you're going to see apps and activities. So you're going to want to make sure you're on apps and activities. select that, and you'll see the apps and activities that you've got loaded on your watch. So I'm just scrolling through all of mine. I've got navigate, treadmill, hike, walk, kayak, run. If you go to the very bottom, there's an option to add. You'll get on that option, you'll press the GPS button, and now you can go down and you can add any activity that's not currently on your watch. So, and there's a lot of stuff out here. Yoga. I'm going to add yoga. So once I found the activity that I wanted, I'm on yoga. Press the GPS button. So there's going to be a couple options that come up. You can set it as a favorite, or you don't have to, which means it'll still be an activity. It just won't be set as one of your favorites. Those are your two options. I'm going to do no. Now it's going to, you notice the arrows over here. You can move it up or down to put it in your activity list where you want it. So right now, the first thing in my activity list is run. I'm going to put yoga right underneath run. I've got it in the position I want. Again, I'm going to press the GPS button to select, and I'm done. So now it's showing me my activities and apps. I've got run, yoga, kayak, walk, hike, treadmill, navigate, so on and so forth. Those are the activities that I've got. And again, I can go down to the very bottom and add more if I need to. That's one way you can add an activity. The other way, and this is probably the best way to do it, but the other way to do it is through the activity screen itself. So let's say I'm going to go out and I want to do an activity and I want to record it. To do that, you're going to press the GPS button. When you're on your home screen, you're going to press your GPS button, and it shows you your activities. The GPS button is how you get into an activity. You'll notice we're seeing the same thing as what I set before. I've got run, yoga, kayak, the same ones that I've previously set. So you've also got the option in here, if you scroll to the very bottom, to add an activity. So I can go down and say, oh, I'm going to go do a climb. It's not in my list. Let me add it. Same thing. Do you want to set it as a favorite? No. And then you're going to pick where do you want it to fall in your activity list. So I'm going to put it under walk. There I go. I've got my activity in my activity list. So there's two ways you can add an activity. You can do it through, again, I'll go real quick. You can do it through the activity screen. Press GPS, navigate to the very bottom, do add, or you can do it through menu, settings, activities and apps, same thing. Go to the very bottom, add. So when you're in your apps and activities, you should be able to see every app and activity that you've currently got on the watch. Now you're going to notice I've got walk, climb, hike, treadmill. Then all of a sudden I get to run, and you'll notice that run is not highlighted. You know, treadmill's got like a white background with dark lettering, whereas run has a dark background with light lettering. What that's showing me is these up here that are highlighted different, those are my favorites. These down here, run, navigate, track me, those are still activities that I've got set on my watch, but they're not designated as favorites. So and I'm going to show you kind of what that means. I'm not going to do anything at this point. I'm just going to use the back button, which is your set button, bottom right-hand side button. I'm going to go back to the main screen. I've shown you what I've got set as my apps and activities and what are set as my favorites. Now let's say I'm going to go do an activity. The way we go do that is we press the GPS button. We're on the main screen. We're outside. We're getting ready to go. I'm going to go for a run, for example. You press the GPS button, and you'll notice it shows me the activities I can do. Walk, climb, hike, treadmill. But it doesn't show me run, which wasn't one of my favorites. So that's kind of the only thing that the favorites does for you, is when you're going to go do an activity, you don't see anything unless it's listed as a favorite. If you want to see the activities you've got on your watch that aren't a favorite, you're going to have to use the down button to navigate to this little 4-dot section. That takes you to your activities that aren't listed as favorites. So there's run, navigate, track me, so on and so forth. If I want to go back to my favorites, I can press the up button. Once I'm in my favorites, I can't see my non-favorites. So I hope that makes sense. So for example, now we know what it does. Let's say we want to set run as a favorite. When I go do a run, I don't want to have to press GPS and go all the way down to the 4 dots so I can see run. I want it to be up at the top, and I want it to be as a favorite. I'll show you how to do that. So again, from the main screen, we're going to press and hold menu. We're going to use the up or down button to navigate to settings. We're going to press GPS to select settings. We're going to make sure we're on apps and activities by using the up and down button. We're going to press GPS to select apps and activities, and we're going to go to the activity that we want to set as a favorite. For me, that's run. I'm on it. I'm going to press the GPS button, and I can navigate down to set as favorite. So it is set as a favorite. You can see now that it's highlighted. It's also listed underneath treadmill. I can leave it there, or I can use the up and down button. You can see I've got 2 arrows over here on the side. I can use the up or down button to move it in my list of favorites. I'm going to move it all the way to the top, so that when I go outside and I do an activity, it's going to be the first thing I've got listed. It's going to be a favorite, and it's going to be my first listed favorite. I've got it where I want it. I'm going to press the GPS button to select. Now it's a favorite, and it's at the top of my activity list. I can just press the back button to go all the way back to the home screen. So now I've got it set as a favorite. I've got it ordered the way I want to. Now when I go outside and I want to do an activity, I press the GPS button. All of a sudden we're going to see, hey, run is the first activity and it's a favorite. If you notice, now if I go to my non-favorites, run is not there. I've still got navigate, still got track me, but because it's a favorite, it's highlighted and I've got it as my top favorite.
What's a widget?
So a widget is just kind of a quick way to access and see data on your Garmin Instinct. If you're looking at the watch, you've got 3 buttons on the left side, 2 buttons on the right side. If you just press the menu button, which is your up button, or the ABC button, which is your down button, it kind of cycles you through what's called your widget loop. And a widget loop is just a quick way to go look at some data. So for example, this is my watch face. When I press the down button, the first thing I see is moonrise and moonset. If I press it down again, I see my heart rate monitoring over the last 4 hours. Press it down again, I can see the temperature and the temperature adjustment over the last 4 hours. Those are widgets. Again, just a quick way to get to some data. So the thing you might be wondering though is, how do I adjust what I'm seeing as far as my widget functionality? And that's what we're going to be looking at today. If you press and hold the menu button, which is your middle button on the left hand side, then you use the menu button or ABC button to move up or down to settings, select settings, and then again navigate down to widgets. You will see all of the widgets that you currently have set up on your watch. So same thing as what we saw before. I've got moon phase, heart rate, temperature, weather, sunrise, sunset, compass, barometer, so on and so forth, stress. At the very bottom here, we can add a widget. If you press the GPS button to select that, you'll see all the widgets that are available on your Garmin Instinct watch. So last sport, last run, so on and so forth. A lot of stuff out there. If you want to add one of those, body battery, I'm going to add that. If you want to add one when you're on it, just press the GPS button, and now it's added to your widget wheel. There's really nothing else that has to be done to that. Your widget loop is going to display whatever widgets you've got currently set up in your widget. So if I press the back button, I can see all of the widgets I've got set up. If I wanted to move, we just added body battery. If I want to move that up in the wheel, when I'm on it, I'll press the GPS button. I'll choose reorder, and I can move it wherever I want. So right now, the first widget I had was moon phase. Instead, I'm going to put body battery. Once I've got it in the position I want, I can press GPS, and now it's my first widget. I can press the back button to go all the way back to the main screen. So here's my regular display screen. Now if I press the down button, the first widget is my body battery. So pretty easy. Next should be moon phase. Sure enough, there's my moon phase. So the widgets are actually pretty cool. You want to make sure you have them set up. The one thing I will mention is some of these widgets require a mobile connection, some of them don't. For example, the weather widget is what I'm on right now. It's saying mobile app connection required. The reason being is the watch doesn't really track that. It basically uses your phone and the watch just displays the information from your phone. So there are some widgets that require a cell phone connection in order to be able to display the information. But they're pretty useful. The one thing I'll say is you want to make sure you have them right. And the first thing you want to do is you want to go through, because by default, they put a bunch of widgets out there that you might not even be interested in seeing. And that's what I'm going to walk you through now is if you've got a widget that you're not interested in. So for example, body battery is what I just said. And I'm like, yeah, it's not as cool as I thought it would be. If I want to take it out, it's very easy. We're just going to press the menu button again. We're going to navigate down to settings, press GPS to select settings, navigate down to widgets, press GPS to select widgets. We're going to choose the widget we want to remove, which in my case is body battery. If I press it, I'm going to navigate down to remove, and now it's gone. And that's it. If I ever wanted to add it back, I can go all the way to the bottom, just like we did earlier, and do add widget, put it back where I want to put it. So one of the cool features of this watch is that you've got the ability to track your heart rate, and that also tracks other things like your stress level, your body battery, stuff like that. I'm going to show you how to do that. And there's a couple of different ways you can view your heart rate information. One of them, if you've watched my other videos, if you know the basics of the Garmin Instinct, is you can add it as a data element on your watch face. Now, I don't currently have it on there. I'll walk through it real quick just to add it. I'm going to press and hold the menu button. I'm going to press GPS to select watch face. I'm going to stay on this one and I'm going to select customize. And I'm just going to put it up here. These are your different data element screens. You can really put it in multiple places. For me, I like it there. I'm going to go ahead and select it. And I'm going to finish out the screen. And now I've successfully added the heart rate monitor. You'll notice that there's two lines because there's no heart rate. It's because it's not on my wrist. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Obviously, in order to get the heart rate information, you're going to need to have it on your wrist. So bear with me a second. A couple of things about the heart rate. When you're wearing the watch, you want to have it nice and snug. You don't want the watch moving at all when you're doing any kind of exercises or walking around. The other thing is you want to have it above your wrist bone here. And you don't want to be wearing any kind of sunscreen, insect repellent, lotion, anything like that under the watch. You want to keep the sensor on the bottom of the watch as clean as possible to get an accurate reading. You'll notice after I put the watch on, you can now see my heart rate. I'm currently at 79 beats per minute. So that's the first way you can view your heart rate information. The other way, as with everything on this watch, there's usually a widget for it. So the data screen is just going to show you the basics. If you want to see more information, you can add it to your widget loop. Now I've got a video out there that shows you how to add things to your widget loop. So if you don't have it in there, you might want to watch that video and see how you can add it. But I've already got it. So I'm going to press the up or down button to get to my widgets. And there's the heart rate widget. Again, it'll show you your current heart rate, but it'll also show you your high and low heart rate for the last 4 hours, as well as a trend graph over the last 4 hours. While I'm in the widget, if I want to see more information, I can press the GPS button and I can see my last 7-day trend. So my average heart rate over the last 7 days has been 57 beats per minute. And then you can see the trend over the days. Also, while you're in the widget, we'll press the back button to get back to it. If you hold down the menu button, you can get your heart rate options. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. If you want to turn off the heart rate completely so that you're not tracking it at all, on the status, you can just toggle by pressing the GPS button, but you'll notice you're going to get this message that it's going to cut off the heart rate, body battery, stress, and other features. So I'm not going to do that. But if you did want to turn off your heart rate feature, that's how you would do it. You also have the ability to say, do you want the heart rate being tracked while you're swimming? Yes or no. You can also set alerts. Do you want abnormal heart rate alerts? If you select this, you'll see that you can set alert. If your heart rate gets abnormally high, you can get an alert on your watch. You can also set an alert if your heart rate gets abnormally low. So that's kind of a cool feature, especially if you're somebody who's really into health, or maybe you're having heart issues, or maybe you've got stress issues you're supposed to be keeping an eye on. I think that's a pretty neat feature. Last but not least, you can do broadcast. Now you'll notice I'm gonna go ahead and start broadcasting my heart rate. You really don't need to do this unless you've got another Garmin device that you're trying to send your heart rate information from your Garmin Instinct over to it. But I just want to show you what it's doing. You'll notice that there's a heart here and it's showing a little broadcast signal. That lets me know that it's broadcasting my heart rate. Once you're done, you can press any button to get out of that. Again, unless you've got another device that you're trying to send it to, you really wouldn't need that feature. And then you can choose whether or not to broadcast it during an activity, yes or no. So, the Garmin Instinct Solar watches come with a feature called Battery Saver. And what it does is it allows you to put the watch in basically a low battery mode, so it preserves your battery life as long as you want it to. Along with Battery Saver, you also have the ability to adjust what happens when Battery Saver mode gets put on. So I'm going to walk you through all of that right now. Now, the one thing I'll mention is I'm going to go to it through the menu. You can also add Battery Saver as a option in your widget wheel. I've got a video out there that shows you how to add things to your widget wheel, but for this video, we're just going to go through the menu to do it. So if we want to put the watch in Battery Saver mode, we're going to press and hold the menu button. Notice I've got 10 days of battery life, 41%. We're going to go down to Settings, press the GPS button to select Settings, and then we're going to go all the way down to Power Manager. And in Power Manager, we're going to see the option for Battery Saver. If I want to turn it on, there is a status button. Currently it's off. If I turn it on, it's on. Now notice, if we go all the way back, it tells me 10 days. My estimated battery is still 10 days. So you're asking yourself, well, hey, I put Battery Saver on. What good did it do me? It didn't get me any more battery life. And that's true. But the reason it didn't is because of the way I've got Battery Saver set up. And that's what we're going to walk through right now. So let's go back to the Battery Saver menu. Power Manager, Battery Saver. But now we're going to go to Edit. And we're going to edit what happens whenever I put Battery Saver on. So when I press this, you're going to have some different options in here, starting with watch face. So currently I have it set to when Battery Saver mode is on, don't do anything different with my watch face. Don't change it. I have the option to choose low power. What low power does is your watch face is only going to update once a minute versus constantly. So if I add that, I should gain about 3 days. If I go down to phone, currently, again, I have it set to don't do anything. If I'm in Battery Saver, don't do anything. Well, I can go in here and I can say, look, if I'm in Battery Saver mode, disconnect my phone. And by doing that, again, I'm going to gain about 2 days. You can do this for all of these different categories. So activity tracking, again, I have it set for don't change. Turn off means in Battery Saver mode, it won't do any kind of activity tracking. No step counting, no stair climb, how many stairs did I climb, that kind of stuff. So I tend to be the type, when I go into Battery Saver mode, I don't want any of this stuff turned on. I'm looking to use the watch just like a regular quartz solar watch. Give me the time and that's it. You have the option for the wrist heart rate. You can leave it alone or you can turn it off. If you turn off the wrist heart rate, you'll notice that you can't do anything with the pulse oximeter. The reason is that function can't work unless the wrist heart rate is on. So by turning off the wrist heart rate, you can also, it also turns off your pulse oximeter. Now, the one thing I will say is you can leave the heart rate on and then just go and turn the pulse oximeter off if you wanted to do that. So there's some different functions there. But for this video, let's turn them all off. And then last but not least, your backlight. So when I'm in low battery mode, does my backlight operate as it always does, or do I turn it off completely? Now, varies by use. When I turn this off, it basically means that I can still turn it on, but only by pressing the light button. So once you've got everything set the way you want it to, you can just press the back button. And then you'll notice that my status has gone up quite a bit to 31 days. So let's go back and see. And now I went from having 10 days of battery life left to having up to 31 days of battery life left because I'm in Battery Saver mode and I've cut off most of the functions that this watch is going to be using that would take up a lot of battery life. You'll also notice when I go back to my screen, there's not a whole lot on it. There's my clock, there's the date, and there's the amount of days I have left till battery. But there's no more graph of solar charging, there's no more moon phase, the stuff like that that I had originally on the screen. So that's a real quick walkthrough of adjusting your power saver mode. Let me show you one other thing real quick. I'm gonna go back into the settings, and I'm gonna go back to Power Manager. And I'm going to turn off the battery saver. Aside from edit, you also have the option to turn this on automatically during sleep. So if I press this, currently it's off. If I turn it on, notice it turns it on. You have to go into your Garmin Connect app to establish when your sleep times are. But what you can do is you can establish your sleep times in Garmin Connect, and then you can set your watch so that automatically during your sleeping times, it'll go into battery saver mode. And what that does for you is it helps you preserve a little bit of battery life while you're sleeping, and then when you wake up in the morning, your watch is automatically functional the way it normally would. So that's another kind of neat feature. I tend to use that. I'm not worried about notifications or moon phase or activity tracking or temperature, any of that stuff while I'm sleeping. So I tend to go into battery saver mode during my sleeping times, and then when I'm not sleeping, it goes out of that automatically. Basically, when you get the watch, there's going to be there's 3 buttons on the left, 2 buttons on the right, and each button has different features that it does. So for example, the ABC button down here, if I press and hold it, by default, it's going to take me into the altimeter, barometer, and compass settings, where I can go look at the barometric pressure if I want to. So that's the default that Garmin sends you the watch in. But if you want to, you can actually adjust that. Maybe you don't care about the altimeter, barometer, and compass, and you want something else to be the button when you press and hold ABC, you want it to do something else. You can actually change that, and that's what I'm going to walk you through doing. So what we're going to do to adjust the hotkeys, I'm just going to use the ABC as an example. By default, again, it takes you into the altimeter, barometer, and compass settings. We're going to change that. So you're going to just press and hold the menu button, and it's going to take you into some different options, the watch face, the history. We're going to go into settings. And then in settings, you're going to use the up and down buttons down here, and you're going to just go all the way down to where you see system. And then you're going to use the GPS button. GPS button is always going to be your select button to select system. And then again, you're going to use the up and down buttons, and you're going to navigate down to hotkeys, and you're going to press GPS to select that. So you'll see once you get into the hotkeys, these are your different settings right now. So for example, if I hold the GPS button, it takes me to the GPS. If I hold the back button, it takes me to the set, which is basically your settings for different things like your stopwatch, your timer, something like that. The down button, which is the one I'm looking to change, if you hold the down button now, it takes you into the ABC, which is your altimeter, barometer, and compass settings. Well, I want to change that. So since I'm on that, I'm going to press GPS. And now all I do is I use the up and down arrow to say, what is it that I want to change it to? Well, these are all your different options. I can make it to where when I hold down the ABC button, my flashlight comes on, or my alarm clock comes on, or broadcast my HR, anything you want to, or you can just cut it off completely. So you can say, hey, look, if I press and hold that ABC button, it doesn't do anything. But I'm going to do a stopwatch. That seems practical. So I put it on the setting that I want, press GPS again, and now I have the hotkey set to where when I hold the down button, which is also the ABC, it'll take me to the stopwatch. I just press back, 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 and it takes me back to the home screen. Now to test it, we can see what happens. If I press ABC, it's just using the down button, right? But if I press and hold it, like in my hotkey, it takes me to the stopwatch. Whereas before, it took me to the altimeter, barometer, and compass settings. So that's how you adjust your hotkeys. So now, When I press and hold ABC, it takes me to the stopwatch. So let's go change it back. Again, we go to the menu. Oh, we hold down menu. We go to settings. We go to system, hotkeys, and again, if you hold the down button, right now we've got it set to stopwatch, so I'm going to change it back to there should be there it is, ABC. So now I've got it set back to the way it was by factory default. If I hold down the down button, it's going to take me to the ABC settings. So now I'm going to go back, back, back. Before, where I changed my hotkey and I was pressing ABC, and it took me to stopwatch. Now if I press and hold it, it takes me back into the altimeter, barometer, and compass setting. So it's kind of a neat feature, kind of useful if there's some things that by default it's using that you don't use. You'd rather have something like a flashlight or the stopwatch or something like that. The hotkeys give you the ability to customize the watch the way you want to. What we're going to be looking at today is the advanced settings for your backlight, and to get to those, we're going to press and hold the menu button, which is the middle button on the left-hand side. Then we're going to press the ABC button to go down to settings. We're going to press GPS, and we're going to go all the way down to System, press GPS again. Again, use the ABC button to go down until we get to Backlight, and then we'll press GPS to select it. Now, normally on your Garmin Instinct watch, if you want to turn on your backlight, you'll notice that the top left button on the left side, your control button also says light. When I press that, you'll notice how my watch lights up. There's other ways we can control how the light turns on. And what's cool about the Garmin is they actually give you some different options. You can set it up to operate differently whether you're in an activity or you're not in an activity. So not in an activity means I'm just wearing my watch, I'm laying on the couch, I'm working. I can have different settings for my backlight for that versus if I'm jogging or hiking or hunting, whatever activity I'm doing. So that's a pretty cool feature. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to arrow down. You can do it different ways. I'm going to go into the not during activity just to show you the settings. The settings are going to be the exact same between not during an activity and during an activity. It's just you would go into each one depending on what it is you're looking to adjust. So we're going to press GPS for not during an activity, and I'm going to show you what each of these different features do. So keys. Currently I've got mine set to after sunset. I'm going to press GPS and show you your options in here and talk to you about them. On would mean any button I press, not just the light button, but any button I press will turn on my light. Off means no button will turn on the light except for the control button, which is my light button. After sunset means no button will turn on my light except for the control button unless it's after sunset. And after sunset, any button will turn on my light, which I think is really a pretty cool setting. Remember, the less that your light's turning on, the better your battery life is going to be on your watch. So I'm going to turn this on just to show you. Notice how I'm pressing the up and down button, nothing's happening. If I turn this on, all of a sudden, any button I press is going to make the light turn on. So if I press the down button, the light turns on. Press the up button, the light's going to turn on. So I'm going to turn this off just so it's not annoying during the video, but that's what keys does for you. Alerts would mean as your watch is getting alerts, maybe you've got text messaging on, somebody sends you a text message. When you get that alert, do you want the backlight to turn on or not? So again, you can do on, off, or after sunset. After sunset means when you get alerts after sunset, turn on the backlight every time there's an alert. I tend to leave this off. Again, this is going to vary depending on what your use is. Gesture would mean, do you want the backlight to turn on automatically anytime you tilt the watch towards you to see what time it is? Some of the Casios, if you're familiar with the G-Shock, they've got this same feature. So you can turn this on, off, or after sunset. And again, this is one of those things, I usually leave it off. If I want to turn on the light, I don't have an issue just pressing the button. Timeout would be how long does the light stay on whenever it gets triggered. I've got mine set to 4 seconds, but you can actually set it to 8 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, or it never turns off. Never turns off means, I'll show you. I turn on the light, it'll stay on until I press it again to turn it off. Again, you want to consider battery life whenever you're making these settings, and you want to consider, do I really need that? But that's kind of a cool feature, just if you want to control it manually on your own. And then brightness, this is what I was mentioning earlier. There's a quicker way to get to this to adjust your brightness, but you can also do it in here. I can press GPS, and I can turn down my brightness. Notice how there's hardly any light. The higher I go, the brighter the light's going to get. And then once you've got your settings the way you want, you can press the back button and you can adjust them. So that's my settings for not during an activity, but I can go into during an activity and do the exact same settings, but they would only take effect whenever I'm in an activity. So notice during an activity, I've got my brightness set to 5%, whereas not during an activity, we have it set to 100%. So it's pretty cool. Really easy settings, but some pretty user-friendly settings for the backlight, which I think is great. Most watches don't really have this many features that you can choose from on your backlight. Once you're done, you've got it set the way you want. You can just go all the way back to the main screen, and you've successfully set your advanced settings for your backlight. So what are we talking about when we talk about a course? I always think of it in terms of a golf course. You've got hole number 1, hole number 2, hole number 3. You've got all these different locations that are in order, and when you put them all together, you've got a course. Your Garmin Instinct is the exact same way. You've got all these saved locations. Well, you can go through and you can put them in an order and make a course out of it. Now I'm going to show you how to do that. Now first, let me say, if you're really into courses, there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. I'm going to be showing you how to do it on your watch, but you can also go into the Garmin Connect app and website and build your own courses there. You can also go to various websites and download trails and courses from those and load them on your Garmin Instinct to do them there. But anyway, enough about that. Let's go build a course. I'm going to press the GPS button. I'm going to arrow down. We can actually go into the activities to build a course as well. I think the easiest way though is to go all the way down to navigate and then press GPS to select navigate. You'll notice that the second option in here is courses. I'm going to press GPS to select courses. Now, if I had some, we would see them in here. In my case, I don't have any courses. I'm going to press GPS to create new. By default, it's going to build them like this. Course 1, Course 2, Course 3. You can use the scroll wheel. You can press the up or down button to edit the name any way you want to. My advice is, if you've got a lot of time, go ahead and do it this way. I would just build the course as it is, course number 1, and then when you load it to your Garmin Connect account, go rename it in Garmin Connect on your phone or on the computer. It's a whole lot easier than using the watch to do it. But if you want to see how to do it on the watch, I'm going to hit the backspace and, I don't know, we'll put in A, B, E, E, F. I don't know, whatever. You put in whatever name you want, and then press the checkbox, and now you've named it whatever you want using your Garmin Instinct watch. Now we're going to have to add a location. We've got a course out there with no locations. I'm going to press GPS to add a location. I got two options in here. I can do my current location, or I can do a saved location. Now remember, you're going to want to put them in order of how you want your course to go. So if I want to start my course based on the location I'm currently at, I would use current location right now. I'm going to go ahead and go into saved locations though, and you should see all of the saved locations that you've got on your Garmin Instinct. I'm going to choose one of these as my starting point. So let's choose, I don't know, pumpkin camera. Now I can go add a second location. Again, when I press add location, it's going to give me the option to use my current location, which would mean the course would start at the pumpkin camera. Then the second waypoint would be my current location, or I can go add another saved location. So let's go down and add camera 3. Again, we're just going to keep this up until you've added all of the locations you want for this course. I'm going to add one more. Now, if I do current location, it should bring up my GPS and it should save my current location, just like you were going out to save a location. I'm going to do one more save location. Deer feeder. Once you've got them all done, you can just press done, and it will take a second and it will build your course. So now we've successfully built our course, A, B, E, F, F, A, B, E, E, F. We can do the course. We can take a look at the map to see the course. I've done a video in the past that walks you through how to navigate the map. It's one of the downsides of the Instinct. The map isn't very good. If you're really into seeing your map and that kind of stuff, spend a little more money and get the Phoenix. For what the Instinct costs, the map is pretty cool, but navigating it is a little bit tricky, a little bit odd. Again, I'll maybe link the video of how to navigate the map so you can take a look at that. We can do the course in reverse. We can look at the elevation plot of the course. We can edit the name. We can edit the course. We can add more locations or change some of the locations in there, or we can delete it. But that's how we add a course. Once you're done, just press the back button, and you've now successfully added a course on your Garmin Instinct watch. So let's don't get this confused with battery saver. There's battery saver and there's power manager. Battery saver is basically going to be a predefined set of values on your watch that will turn off or on whenever you turn on the battery saver functionality. So when you're trying to preserve battery life, what is it that you want to disconnect from your watch? Power manager is where you can create power modes and then you can predefine them on certain activities. I'll do my best to try and explain to you how that works, and then we'll go create a couple power modes just to give a couple examples. So let's say we're going to go do an activity. I'm going to press the GPS button, and let's look at the different activities I've got here. So let's say I want to do, let's start with the walk activity. I want to go for a walk. I want to have my heart rate monitoring on, but I don't care about GPS and I don't care about phone. So I'm going to choose walk, and you'll notice the first thing that happens is the GPS starts connecting, my heart rate is on, and my phone is connected. I can press the menu button to look at my options. When I go down to options, you'll see there's one called power mode. I can press GPS to select it. I've got a couple different predefined options from Garmin that I can look at in here. Currently it's on normal, which is using GPS, heart rate, and phone connection. Well, I can go to max battery. Max battery turns off GPS, turns off heart rate, and turns off phone. You'll notice each one of these as I go through it, I'll see how much battery life I'll gain. There's also a jacket mode, which gives me GPS, doesn't give me heart rate, but it keeps my phone connected. Well, none of those work for what I'm wanting to do. I want heart rate on and I want GPS on, but I don't want my phone connected. So what do? You go create a custom power mode, and then we assign it to this activity. So I'm going to go back. Before we do that, let's say I'm going to go do the hunting activity. Same thing, when I go into the hunt activity, GPS starts connecting, heart rate's on, phone's on. Well, when I'm going hunting, I'm going to press and hold the menu button. I'm going to go look at the power manager. I do want GPS. I don't really care about heart rate, and I don't really care about phone. Again, max battery takes all of those, turns them off. Jacket mode gives me GPS and phone, but it doesn't give me heart rate. So again, I have power settings that don't match up for the given activity that I'm wanting to do. So let's go create a couple power modes that we can use with those activities. So when we're on our main watch face, we're going to press and hold the menu button. Then we're going to use the up or down button. We're going to go to settings, press GPS to select settings, and again, we're going to use the up or down button. We're going to go to power manager. We're going to press GPS to select power manager. Now again, we're not talking about battery saver here. We're talking about power modes. Press GPS to select power modes, and we're going to see the same power modes that we just looked at as options when we were doing our activities. Max battery turns off GPS, heart rate, and phone. Jacket mode turns off heart rate, leaves on phone. There's no GPS at all. Now you could edit one of these that Garmin gives you. I don't really recommend that. I would keep the predefined Garmin values out there, especially since they give you the option to just build your own. At the very bottom here, we can do add. I'm going to press GPS, and we're going to add our own power manager mode. Now, you can name it anything you want to. If I had more time, I would probably put something like heart, no GPS, or something like that. But in this example, let's just do A for this one. I'm going to use the check mark to say I'm done. We can say, hey, I'm done with it here, or we can edit the settings for it. So for example, GPS. What do we want to do with the GPS in this power mode? Do we want to not change it? Do we want to turn off GPS? Do we want to use normal GPS? Do we want to use Ultra Trek GPS and some of the foreign satellites? How do we want to do it? Well, again, I was setting this up to use with walk. In the walk one, I said I didn't care about GPS, so we're just going to turn off GPS. Then we're going to go down and we're going to go through all of our settings and set it the way we want. So phone, for example, do we want the phone connected under this power mode or not? I'm going to do disconnect. Wrist heart rate. Do we want to turn it off? Do we want to turn it on? Do we want to leave it to follow whatever the default value is? I'm going to do turn on. The pulse oximeter, do I want my pulse oximeter on or off? I'm going to turn it off. How about the map? Do we want to allow the map when we're using this power mode? Yes or no? I'm going to disable. My display, do I want my watch display always on? Or I can actually choose to have it time out after a certain amount of time. Let's do always on. Backlight. Do we just leave the backlight as it is with the default, or do we turn it off? I'm going to turn off the backlight. And then accessories. Accessories would be any kind of third-party accessory you've got. So maybe you've got a third-party heart rate monitor. Maybe you've got the Garmin Tempi that you're using to track temperature. Do you allow those things or not under this power mode? I'm going to disconnect. Once you've got it set the way you want, all we're going to do is we're going to press done, and we've successfully created a power mode for what we want. No GPS, no phone, heart rate basically only. I can go create a second one. We'll name this one B. This was the one that we said I was going to use for the hunting activity. This one, what did I say? I said I do want GPS, so we'll turn that on. Normal GPS. Actually, I think what I'll do on that one, since it's hunting, I'll do ultra track. Do I want my phone connected? No. Do I want heart rate on? No. You'll notice pulse oximeter is automatically off because if you don't have heart rate monitoring on, you can't use pulse oximeter. Do I want the map? Sure, I'll take the map and I'll keep the display on. And the backlight, yeah, we'll leave it as don't change. Accessories, again, I'm going to disconnect. Now I've created my second custom power mode, named B. Now that I've got my power modes created, we can go back to the main watch face and let's go do those activities again. So I'm going to press GPS. We're going to go to walk. But this time, when we go to our options, we're going to choose the power mode that we want to use for walk. Instead of using normal, I'm going to go down and I'm going to choose the one that I created for walking. No GPS, no phone, just track my heart rate. I've successfully added that power mode to that activity. So now whenever I go do the walk activity, by default, it'll use that power mode. Now I'm ready to go do the activity. You'll notice no GPS is connected, no phone is connected. All I have is my heart rate on and I'm ready to go walking. Same thing with the hunt activity. If I go into the hunt activity, it's set up to use the regular one, but we can press the menu button. We can go to the power mode. We can choose the power mode that we want to use for that given activity. Now I've got it set for the hunt activity. So now when I do my hunt activity, I'm using a power mode that actually makes sense for the given activity. Remember, all activities use specific power modes. So you can predefine whatever power mode you want for the given activity. I just made those custom ones for the hunt and walk activity. But when I go do the run activity, the delivered Garmin power modes might work perfectly fine. So I'll just use those on those activities. It's very simple. I hope I didn't confuse you. Basically, just know that you can go create power modes as specific as you want to, and then you can assign those power modes to the given activity that you're looking to do so that it matches the activity appropriately. Let's talk about taking off the band. If you look at the side of your watch, hopefully you're going to be able to see this okay, there's some pins that stick through and basically connect the band to the watch. So removing this is very easy. When you order a new band, you're going to get a tool, maybe something that looks like this or something that looks like this. You can even use a paper clip. Actually, if you read the directions that come with your Garmin Instinct, they recommend using a paper clip. So the one thing I do recommend is take something soft, put it underneath your watch so you don't scratch it up depending on what kind of surface you're on. And all you're going to do is you're going to take this pin and you're going to push, or your tool, and you're going to push these pins out. So I'm going to try and do this while filming. You give it a little push, and the band comes off. Nothing to it. So anyway, you'll do the same thing on this side, and then when you're ready to put the band back on, it's pretty simple. Most of the bands will send you a pin. This is the pin that came with this band. This is the pin that came with my Garmin Instinct band. Again, the pins are the same way. Different color. This one's stainless. This one's charcoal. For me, I kind of like the stainless because it's easier to see when I'm changing out the bands, but that's just a preference. And all you're going to do is you're going to take the pin and you're going to stick it in the hole here. And then you're going to use your fingernail and press the other end down so that the pin can lock in place. And voila. You'll hear a little bit of a click, and you should be able to look here and see that the pin is coming through. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that on the camera or not, but my pin's coming through. Do the same thing for the other side, and that's how you change out the band. There's nothing to it. It's kind of fun. There's nothing wrong with the band that it comes with. If you're somebody like me, I've got the charcoal case, the charcoal band. I just thought it was kind of boring. For a couple of dollars to get a different band and change it out, match some outfits, or make it look a little more fun, I think it's kind of a fun investment. And there's tons of different alerts that you can set up on this watch. There's alerts to tell you whether your phone is connected or not. There's different alerts you can set up in activities. There's different alerts you can set up with navigation, sunrise, sunset, move alerts, storm alerts, all kinds of stuff. So you have the ability to control what alerts sound like when you get them. Now, the only thing is it's not individual to alerts. It's a global setting for all alerts. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Press and hold the menu button. We're going to arrow down to settings. We're going to press GPS to select settings. We're going to arrow all the way down to system. Select system. And then we're going to arrow down to sounds. Once we go into sounds, I'm not going to talk about keytones. I'm not going to talk about key vibrate. There's two settings that you really want to look at, and that is alert tones and vibration. So alert tones basically determines whether when you get an alert, does it make a noise or doesn't it? And if you press that, you've got a toggle switch. You can turn it off. You can have alert tones on only during activities. So basically that would mean when you're actively doing an activity, the alerts will come through and they'll make a noise. But no other time. If you're not in an activity, it won't make any noises. Or you can turn it on, which means you'll get a beeping noise for any alert, whether you're in an activity or not. So I'm just going to turn that on. So that's pretty basic. And then the other option that you have is vibration. If you have vibration off, when you get an alert, you're only going to get whatever your setup is on your alert tones. If you have it on, you'll also get a vibration whenever you get an alert. Really basic. If you don't want either of them, you can turn them both off. So I can have vibration off, and I can go to my alert tones, and I can turn that off. And basically what will happen is whenever you get an alert, you'll only see it on your watch, but you won't get a sound, and you won't get a vibration. We're going to simply hold and press the menu button, which is the middle button on the left-hand side, and we're going to use the up or down button on the left-hand side to go to settings, press GPS to select settings. Then again, we're going to use the up or down buttons, and we're going to navigate until we get to system. Should have gone the other way. Once we get to system, we're going to press the GPS button, and again, we're going to use up or down until we get to format. Once we're on format, we'll press GPS to select format. And the second option in format, if you use the down button and go to it, is start of week. You can see that mine's currently set on Monday. If I press the GPS button, you've got three different options. You can have your week start on Monday, Sunday, or Saturday. Choose whichever value you want, press the GPS button to select it, and you've successfully changed your start of the week. So if we want to change from Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius, we're going to need to go into our settings and look at our units, and that's how we're going to change it. It's really easy. All we're going to do is we're going to press and hold the menu button, and then we're going to use the ABC button to arrow down to settings, press GPS to select settings, and then we're going to arrow down all the way until we get to system, press GPS, and then again, we're going to arrow all the way down until we see units. Now under units, there's a bunch of different things that you might need to look at to make sure you've got it set according to where you are or how your preferences are. For example, the distance, do we want that in miles or kilometers? It's going to vary kind of depending on where you live. But if you arrow down through all of these, you'll notice that there is a setting for temperature. Once you're on temperature, if you press the GPS button, you can basically toggle between Celsius or Fahrenheit. If I want to go to Fahrenheit, I'm going to choose it. Now I've got my temperature setting on Fahrenheit. Once you've got it adjusted accordingly, then you're just going to press the set button to go back. And we'll notice now that the temperature is reading in Fahrenheit. When you get your Garmin Instinct watch, by default, it should be set to latitude and longitude. So if you go to a safe location, you look at any GPS information, you should see it in latitude and longitude, but you can actually change that if you want to. I know I get a lot of questions from my viewers that want to change their format to the Military Grid Reference System, MGRS, and you can do that as well as many other different formats that are available on this watch. I'm going to show you how to do that. It's pretty easy. So I'm going to press and hold the menu button. It's the middle button on the left-hand side, and then we're going to use either the up or down button to arrow down to settings, press GPS to select settings, and then again we're going to use the up or down button. We're going to go to system, press GPS to select system. Again, use the up or down button until we get to format. Press GPS to select format. Now once you're in format, you're going to use the up or down button and you're going to go down to position format, press GPS to select it, and then you'll see the current format that you're on. So right now I'm in latitude and longitude in degrees and minutes, but if I want to change that, I can press GPS and I've got all these different options to pick from. So I could just do latitude and longitude in degrees only. I could add seconds, I could do Australian grid, so on and so forth. There's a lot of them in here. Some of these I've never even heard of in my life. But if you did want to switch it to something like MGRS, you just go down to the M's. There it is, press GPS to change it, and you've successfully changed your GPS format to the format that you want. Power off the watch, all you're going to do is you're going to press and hold the control button, which is the top button on the left-hand side. This will take you into what's called your control menu. The one option that you can't edit in here is the power off button. All these other things you can edit and change any way you want to. You're going to use the menu or ABC button, which are also your up and down buttons, and you're going to navigate until you get to the icon that says power off. Looks just like this. Once you're on that, all you're going to do is you're going to press GPS, and your watch is going to go into power off setting. Once your screen goes blank, you've successfully powered off your Garmin Instinct watch. You can leave it sitting there as long as you want. Now, if you've got the solar version, just FYI, even when it's powered off, it will still charge the battery if it happens to be out in the sun. So maybe you're out, you're doing a hike, something like that, and you're really low on battery. You just want to power off the watch, let it sit out in the sun, get a little bit of a charge. You can actually do that with the power off. With the device turned off, it'll still take a charge. Now you're ready to turn your watch back on. All you're going to do is, again, you're going to press and hold the control button, and the watch will power back on.